What's up, guys? It's Andrew Appear here at Beta AT Production and Publishing, bringing you guys a new tutorial. In this tutorial, we will be breaking down the process of making the Ill Mind of Hopsin 8. I believe that's the track's name. Hopefully I didn't missay it. But yeah, so we obviously didn't make a remake, but we made a reference style. So we created a beat that was similar and had a lot of similar elements and structure to Hopsin's track. Now, the only reason why me personally, Andrew Appear, I would do this is because this has a lot more of a trap element, and that's kind of like the niche I have somewhat fell into. We do other tutorials and other music production such, but this has a lot of trap elements with the snare work, stutters, and mutes and such. But the beat is pretty crazy. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna probably, let's see, how long is this? It's about 2 minutes. Yeah, we could play the whole thing. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna play the whole thing from start to finish, and we will break it down after that. So, and it's a lot of work. There was a lot of stuff, but it's really not that hard. Hopefully you guys will be able to follow along. So we are going to play this beat for you all right now. So that's the beat we are going to be making. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow, just going from left to right. So let me just actually add these last tags. So verse 2, because these tags are not there. And then chorus 3. Now, you're probably realizing that certain elements aren't exactly the same. So the chorus or whatever segment that Hopsin has after the little orchestral band little symphony intro, it goes into this more gritty chorus that really doesn't have any correlation with the verse. We didn't really do that. We kind of just created a more orchestral chorus, but you guys could kind of get the point. The main focus on Hopsin's song is more in the verse, where he really snaps, in which he just annihilates it and just goes off the top. But yeah, enough of that. So the intro in the Hopsin song had this orchestral theme, so I built around that by adding some brass, choir, a piano, and then we had these action strikes right here, and this was more for my sake of differentiating from the first half of the intro to the second half. And in the song, the Hopsin song, he had these almost like this weird ambient guitar sound. So we added, if we pull up our guitar, it was Omnisphere, and Omnisphere has a lot of cool guitar effects and feedback sounds. So I kind of added this in once Omnisphere loads to kind of have like this distortion amplified sound. Like I'll play right here. So it's kind of like an ambient background. Then I had this big pad, which kind of comes in and then kind of goes out. We could kind of see up here, comes up, and it goes back down. And that was a Electrax pad. So we're gonna play that intro. You hear that piano mostly. So we kind of had a for the first piano, because there's two different piano tracks, this one and this one. In this one, we kind of just had a very slow progression with the notes. And then the chords in the bass area kind of added this movement. And creating soundtrack music really does help. I try to tell people to expand your horizon, try to understand other music genres. It can help broaden your taste and incorporate new sounds to create your own style. So, and then the brass, it was just a normal brass that was in Nexus. I think Nexus's brass are really good. I prefer the brass in Nexus over the brass that a lot of the brasses that I hear in Native Instruments. Now that's just my personal preference, but and then so just some F. We are mainly around the F key. Now I know that doesn't really mean a lot. It's like kind of like the F minor. I don't know if that would be the exact key, but here we'll pull up. We had a choir now, so you see the F, and then there's F again. And the choir was more of in the background, sort of, in which we I do want to actually do a little spread. So we had that guitar effects. We had two different guitar effects. We have this one, which has F5 to C5, and then this one, which is just F5. So, and it's shorter. That was just a little differentiation point. So we have that slow piano, the big pad, choir, brass. And we come up to this second piano, which has more notes. And sometimes free loops freezes. Yeah, here we go. We're running a lot of processing, or a lot of processor. But so we followed the same, I believe it was the same, yeah, piano structure for the chords, but we added more higher octave notes to kind of create this flow. In the big pad we didn't change, and then to remind you that we just did F5 to C5 for that guitar FX, and then the action, that's part of Native Instruments. Once it loads, it's an action strike. I love this. Action strikes is one of my favorite libraries for Contact. I use it a lot. Like, when I mean a lot, I truly mean a lot. Ever since I first got it, though. And we also changed up the choir. We added, I believe, we added an extra octave. So all we did was just copy this one and toss it one octave higher. So if we were to pull it back, this one, C5, F4, C5, F4. The reason why I added an extra octave was to add a movement. I don't want to sound like a loop. We're creating a Hopsin type beat. Hopsin's a rapper that disses the simplicity of rap. Whether you agree with it or not, that's pretty much what he does lyrically, and he talks about other things. And so with his complex rapping and complex production level, doing these basic beats just won't stand. So that's why there's probably numerous different transitions in Hopsin Illmind 8, or Illmind of Hopsin 8. So, and then finally for the intro we had a reverse cymbal, just a normal reverse cymbal, which is in our drum pack, which you can go to beatat.com to get our drum packs. In the mix, we were pretty lower that. For the mix, this is a very rough mix, and we were very careful. We didn't want to overdo with a lot of the sounds, so maybe we'd tune down that big pad just a little bit. And so when we came into the chorus, this was kind of the chorus section now, we added this ARP and a bell pad, the crash, and we had two different crashes. And we actually just copied and pasted the brass and choir as well as the piano. Pretty much everything except the big pad. So all of this is just a copy and paste of this. Now I know I said that Hopsin doesn't really do a lot of that basic loop. I know some of his beats are, but this song he didn't really do it very basically. He didn't make it a basic beat. It's really complex, and he even did the chorus differently. So this is kind of adding our own twist to it. And you can hear that ARP. And we have a mute. So, and another mute. So, all these crashes are in our drum kit. Here's one of our. This crash is actually for free in our Future Trap drum kit, which is on beatat.com. And then our orchestral crash is in our AT Sound Kit 1. So, and Now for this bell pad, it was just a single layer pad, bell pad 2, and Nexus, and we used that throughout the actual verse, but we'll get to that point soon. Now the ARP is actually another Electrax ARP, and I'll play that for you guys. And it kind of pans back and forth. You can see it panning up here. And it was more of a background texture sound, so it wasn't a main sound. Because I heard this when I was listening to the Hopsin song, there was like this weird synth sound that was playing, and so I didn't create a similar chorus, but I had similar elements to achieve that style. So, and here's the bell pad. We're gonna go into the melody of the bell pad when we get into the verse, because the bell pad follows more of the melody of the bells that we have. And you might notice right here there's a mute. All we did for that was go to our master and go right here, create a gross beat, mute, and then we automated it by right clicking, create automation clip, and you'll get this. We're gonna zoom in for you guys. You'll get this without, it'll just be flat, like at the bottom. And all you need to do is right click again, and you can draw in your automations. Now we don't want to mute there, so we're going to delete that. And then goes into mute again. But we also have a symbol, but there's really no point of that symbol if it's going to cut out. So normally what I'd probably have done would create this whole beat, or just mute these instruments and then have the symbol, but that's just technicalities. Now coming into the second part of the chorus, we have these bells right here. Oh, maybe if we weren't muted. And these are more of a background bell. There's other bells that actually have the main melody, or like the main sound. This one isn't really so much the main sound. So I'm actually going to pull that one down a little. Hopsin used a lot of mutes or a lot of cuts from the beat. More than likely, he made the cuts while during the recording session. So he would have the tracked out beat in the Pro Tools, and then he would be rapping. And at every segment, he would want to emphasize something. He would probably do the cut. Now, I don't know. He might have actually had the cuts in the beat, but who knows? So let me double check that we covered everything. This orchestral crash is just really a crash here and a crash there. It's nothing really that special. So now into the verse. This is actually probably the more nitty gritty, complex stuff. All of this isn't really anything too fancy, in my opinion. This is where the big meat is. So we're gonna just play this first little segment right here. So Hopsin had a lot of these stutters and cuts in the song. As I said, who knows, he might have done the stutters and cuts in the beat, or he might have done them during the actual process of mixing the whole song. So, but we're going to act like he made it in the beat. So, the melody, this is a melody. The main melody is a plucked, and then in Nexus we used a pluck, and then Hands Up Bells 3. And you want to create space in this melody. It's not a crazy melody where we have notes like all over here. Oh, well, these are pretty long. Like, we don't have a lot of... So we're gonna get rid of all that junk. So it's not an overly complex melody. It's very basic. And the reason why we kept it basic is we have a lot of these drums. We don't want to overcomplicate the drums and the melody, because then they clash. And with complex lyrics and complex structure, it's just over the top, and more than likely you won't get a successful song. So that's just an idea to think about when doing this. So in the bell melody, we copied it and we pasted it in here, but we made a couple changes. This is a Q bell sparkle. This is the bell that we were talking about in the chorus that we would come back to. We copied the bell and we pasted it in here, and we kind of extended the first note, and we took out this last note over here. So if we're going to Control C, we're going to actually copy it and paste it for you guys so you guys can see. And it's also an octave lower. So this kind of gives you your reference. Very similar, but a little bit different, because we were stacking melodies to create new melodies. Or not create new melodies, but stacking melodies to create new sounds. Then we had this bell pad in here, which if we knock down our bells, I just copied and pasted the main bell melody. You can kind of see how we did it. Everything is based off of that bell melody. I made the bell melody first, and then I added other VSTs and similar sounds to then kind of mask it and create and fill in the empty spots. So we can see here that we can kind of see all the red notes are our main notes. Now this is on F3, and we had our main melody at F6, but so we're 3 octaves down. And play the bell pad for you. And these bells, that's the main melody. So pretty much, other than a violin, there really is no other melodies that we made in this whole entire beat. And so we can now focus on more on this beat and structure thing. So we had the crashes I'm going to start auto-naming everything right now so you guys can follow along a little bit better. So, hold on one second. I did it earlier. I did some of them, but I didn't do all of them. Alright. Okay, we could auto-name this one too. So, going down to this kick, I believe we only have 2 different kick patterns. This is one of them. So when we play the kick with the snare, there's actually, normally we would create a snare right here, but we didn't do that. I wanted to create a space, and there's a lot of space, and then there's a lot of drills in his song. So if I didn't create space, then the drills wouldn't be as special, because then you're filling in the space. Hopefully that made sense. So in the snare, this main snare, usually trap snare 5 is our main snare. So this is our main snare, and it's just coming at these segments. So, but in this first bar it's not in there. And so we can now go to our 808, which in this 808 we have a couple different 808 patterns. So here's one pattern, and then 2, 3. That's in the first verse. In this 808, we used our 808 from our AT sound kit, and we pulled down the attack, put it in the mixer, and did a little EQ. And the 808 is almost masking the kick. Now I'm actually gonna cut that down a little bit. And I had the reason why I have these 808s cut shorter is because when I was listening to the Hopsin track, to me, the first two 808s or the first couple 808s were very silent at times, or at least when I was listening to it, they were a little bit different, and then you actually hear the bump. Now that could have just been the way that they mixed it, but that's what I heard. And so if we listen to everything that we got so far, the kick, snare, 808, and the orchestral crash, which the orchestral crash is just the same crash that we had all the other ones. This is what it sounds like. So nothing really even similar to Hopsin's track yet. Now we have these hi-hats. These are what I would call the light hi-hats. Hi-hat 1. The reason why I say light is listen to them. They're not really. They're powerful, but they're not as powerful as this hi-hat, which we'll get to. They're kind of like the more trappy drill hi-hats, but we had them kind of lowered in the mix a little bit. We should lower them a little bit more, but this is with everything. Now we're kind of getting there with the little bit of the drill and the spacing of the beat and such. We're getting closer. Now with the snare, we have a little drill segment right here. Well, we got 3 third step. These are third steps. So if we're gonna play, kind of gives us that little play. And then we just got 2 third steps and then a little drill right there. So, and so you hear that break. Now this is a powerful hi-hat that I was talking about. Now listen to it. I lowered it to an A4 instead of the C5. That's the normal one. This is what we're using now. And remind you, all of these drums are in our drum kits. All these drums are either in our AT Pop sound kit, or the AT Sound Kit 1, or the free Future Trap sound kit. All available at beatat.com. No other location as of right now. So, and these are all third steps with these power hats. We're going to enable this crash. It's just another crash. Now if we listen to it with the melody and the bells, so this is kind of like what we got now. Now we can start coming back up to this gross beat stuff. So this is a gross beat mute. We've kind of discussed about that earlier. Now what's this? Well, this is a gross beat stutter. I've been using gross beat for the stuttering lately, and so all I did was just add gross beat, and I just right clicked right here. Well, not right there, I right clicked right here. I just dragged it up right here. So it goes, has like a one, I believe it's like a one beat off in the second beat in. So I enabled it right here for so now we kind of have that. And froze. It's just so much processing right now. It's on the master channel, so it will affect everything because everything goes through the master. So now, moving on to the next segment. Not a lot was changed. You would notice that we have the full melody, rather in here we cut the melody here where the stutter hit. The main reason why I had the stutter hit there and cut that melody was I wanted it to have that stutter effect on the drums, not the melody so much. So right in here, we don't see any changes in the beat, so it's just no automation and no cuts. So if we were to do this, same 808, same snare 5, same kick, snare 5 being our main snare, and same back trap snare 4, it's kind of like that back drill snare. So everything's the same. And mind you, the bell melody is kind of a close representation to the melody of the Ill Mind of Hopsin 8. We didn't want to make it too trappy, but we wanted to make it similar. Now, we can come to the second to last part of, we're going to just break down as we just do this. So, here is the next part. Well, we added this ARP. The ARP is the same ARP that we had in our course, except in here we added another, is that 2 bar? 1, 2, 3, 4. We added another bar of the gross beat, and we cut the instruments. So now there are some other changes in this one. Now all of the melodies are the same. We're not changing the melodies. The crash, normal. The kicks are normal in this one. Snare 5, same thing. 808 too. This is where we got a little bit creative with our 808. Whether or not Hopsin did it, we decided to kind of change it up to make it a little bit more complex. It's kind of how we want to create an interesting beat. So let's listen to it. So that's all we did with the 808. And then scrolling down, we can come to our snare. And you can see the similarities that we had from our other snare 5. Our other background snare. I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to show you copying our snare, going into here to show you the difference that we had. So let's just so we can see we added some little play over here. Past that, it was the same thing. So what we did here was kind of like drop this one down on a third and lowered the velocity of this one and this one, so it's kind of like it's just a little play. Whether it's good or not, but it creates a little bit of a bounce with the snare and changes up some of the work with it. So let's go. So that was all of that for this. Now we got to some really interesting stuff right here. I created a new kick and a new, actually I didn't create a new cymbal, but I created a new 808 and a new kick. Now, I did boom, boom, so it's like a stutter, but it was more natural. So, we could have probably used the gross beat instead of doing this, which we just created. Like, you could see the little dots. Those are just each time when it hits. And we had 2 cymbals, so. And we have them both orchestral and the other crash. And then trap snare 5 is the same. And we're back to the normal trap snare 4. So we don't have this little play, as you can see. And then, the 808, I don't think it had a little bit different stuff. You could kind of see where we have some of the stuff. We're going to pull it up. So, and then we cut, there's no melody here, and then we cut the melody right here, in which we added another stutter, which does it more so on the orchestral crash. We're going to add that reverse cymbal. So, that was it for the first verse. So, moving on to this chorus. There's a little bit differences than this chorus. I'm not really going to go too much in depth. We just copied over the bell pad and had our ARP. And then we had this different snare work, which is what I would call the chorus snare. I added a new snare, and I forgot to track it. That's how you could put it in the mixer pretty quick. Didn't even mix it yet. But here's kind of like what we did. I dropped it down to D3, C3, D3, F3. So it's like 2 octaves lower. Kind of get this stomping sound. And we could play the normal sound. That's a normal sound. It's in the AT Pop sound kit. It's kind of just to add rhythm to the chorus section. So. And we did a mute right here where you can see at the end of the chorus. It's going to be. So at that last bar we had a mute. So now we're on to the third. What's this? I have no idea what that is. Oh well. Now we're on to the verse 2. So we have a stutter in the first bar. Same melody. Same 808 as normal. 808, 808. And everything else is the same. So pretty much everything's played out the same, but with this little stutter. And we have a mute at the last half bar. So, now in here, we have a new 808. And I think actually what this was a mute before one of the instruments, because it kind of bled through in like a half of bar. So we cut some of the melodies where you could see, and we did a new 808 pattern, and it looks like, I want to double check. We also did excuse me, sorry about that, came out of nowhere. We got a new snare pattern. I don't know, we're gonna look to see what's different. Yeah, so we added well, that's a weird, that's weird. Alright, that's what it probably meant to be. So all we added were these things right here. The old snare is the red one, and then, oh shit, copied it, but never mind. So we can listen to this. If we did the lower velocity, kind of creates that weird like drum pattern, and that was just through pure trial and error. So we create more of a melody with that snare. That snare work is a little bit different. Stutter, mute. So we muted where we had that snare work right here. And then we actually did create a new hi-hat power, but we're going to go to the 808 now. So we're going to copy, Control C, but knock it up an octave higher. So this is our normal 808, the red one. We're going to shoot it up actually a little bit higher. The red 808 is our normal 808, except it's on A4. So we could see where we did some of the changes. We did some changes right here, or we moved these last three, and we cut this one in half while going up. So it kind of creates this. And then with the hi-hat, the power hi-hat, we just did a little quad, four hits on it right here. Pretty powerful. Instead of the triplets, we did the 4. So it's a little bit different than the first verse. As I said, we're not trying to create copy-paste beats, at least for Hopsin. So now moving on to here, we're going to look to see if there's any major differences. I'm just looking at this with reference to this. And from looking at it, the only main changes is no cuts and no stutters. Past that, so we don't have this stutter and we don't have this cut. So when we look over here, we don't have the stutter and we don't have the cut, because we kind of went pretty crazy with the stutters and cuts over here. We don't want to do it too much. We just want to do it enough. Actually, we did cut. We cut the 808 and kick at the end right here. And then this is just the same thing as the one over here with the stutter, with the natural stutter. Now, we're on the last chorus. Now, is this really the chorus or is this just some bridge? I don't really know. It's structured as the chorus is how we did, but it's double the length, so it's 16 bars. So maybe you'd have the chorus in here and then like kind of like a little rant right here. And the main differences between this and this is no choir right here, so you can see no choir. We got the piano, then no piano. We got all that guitar FX stuff. Then we added the big pad, we just pasted it right through. We don't have the chorus snares in here in the first 4 bars, but we have it in the last 4 bars. I mean the last 8 bars, not in the first 8 bars. And then ARP, the bell pad, and then the cymbals. And yeah, that was pretty much it, except we added this violin, which the violin was a Native Instruments violin. So this is kind of like how we did it. No bass notes, nothing, no root, just this. Kind of creating a mood. Then we go into this new chorus, new violin, where we add these lower reed notes. And with the choir kind of comes up and creates this motion. And then you might, then right here, you might do a mute or a cut right here in the last bar. And then you bring in the third verse. If there was one. I believe there was. So, yeah, there has to be, because we're only 2 minutes in. So that's pretty much the main thing to how we achieved that Hopsin style beat. If you guys are curious on kind of the VSTs we use, is a Contact 5 for the violin, standard library, Nexus for that choir. If we go into classic, oh wait, no, this is not it. This is something else. Where is the choir? Here, voice, symphonic choir. The big pad, I've already said, was Electrax. The guitar FX was an Omnisphere. There's some of these I had in there, then we stopped using them. The bells, we've already discussed about the bells. So yeah, I mean, that should cover everything. Hopefully, the mix, now we did more focus on the drums, as you could see. And then when we pulled down a lot of the instruments, and we did some more own little mixing in the master channel. I'm hoping to bring out a mixing tutorial soon. Probably a more basic one. There's really no right or wrong way on mixing, other than as long as your mix sounds clean and good. So we're gonna probably create a video over that. This is quite a long video, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Originally I made this video while I was creating the beat while doing the tutorial, but it just got so big and it got so long, and it was just a big huge mess, and I'm like, I can't. So yeah, I apologize for that. I know a lot of you guys rather have tutorials for while I make it, but it was just a big mess, and I figured that this beat was pretty good at capturing the same style. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, like, comment, share it with your friends. It's more the merrier. This is Andrew Appear here of Beta AT Production and Publishing, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.